Hello everyone. Sorry, I just had to fix the hash table ordering again. Yeah, there's still one left. Let me just fix that real quick and we can move on. 2, 3, 4. On line 152. There we go. 2, 4, 3. So these need to be fixed every time you start a new session of PSKoans. So hopefully we can get Joel to fix that error. I submitted an issue on the repo. Anyway, welcome to a new week. I'll try. My week seems okay, except for Friday, which is a holiday in Norway. So I'll try getting these in lunch every day. So we've moved on. So we're on AboutDiscovery, and I can't get help working. Maybe we can fix that first. No. Well, let's try getting these and. Let's see if we can do them without updated help. So, help and discovery. PowerShell's help and discovery systems are a key component to its ecosystem. A great many things can be learned simply by knowing where to look and which few commandlets to use in order to find what you're looking for. Discovery commandlets are quintessential learning tools, and regular use of them will vastly expedite any unfamiliar task in PowerShell. Combined with targeted online searches, it is straightforward to learn a significant amount about native PowerShell commandlets and functions, as well as more advanced .NET classes and methods. So, describe GetHelp. GetHelp is a built-in PowerShell commandlet that is used to retrieve help data for commandlets and functions. It contains usage examples, parameter information, and a significant amount of otherwise difficult to discover tidbits. Context shows help information about commandlets. Try calling gethelp in a console to see the built-in help available for the help command. So I just did that, and it's not much, but it's what I've got. And it gives exhaustive information for commandlets and functions. So help info is gethelp. GetHelp params is help info parameters parameter name. So let's just run these. Let's see if we can get everyone. Yeah, so at least we got them. So then it would be category, component, then detailed, then full, functionality, name online, parameter, path, role, and no more, at least in mine. So these are the parameters you can use with GetHelp. It can give detailed information on specific characters. You can also query specific parameters for more detailed information on what they can do. For instance, does the path parameter for GetHelp support pipeline input? So you can do this. So so you get help about the parameter path in the GetHelp commandlet, and parameter info will then show if the parameter path accepts pipeline input, and in this case it doesn't. Remember, if GetHelp commandlet name doesn't show you all you need, try full. You can also search for commands with a certain parameter using getHelp. So getHelp name star, parameter computer name. And then we move on to getMember. GetMember is another built-in commandlet that is invaluable in retrieving information about any object in PowerShell. It can be used to inspect the type name of an object, as well as all available methods and properties that can be accessed for that object. It's a very useful tool. So, members and methods of objects. It can help you find useful properties. So we have a string which is hello. If you try to access a property that doesn't exist, PowerShell returns null for it. So if you do string dot something, in this case this doesn't exist, you would get null returned. To use getMember, pipe an object into it like this, hello, then pipe getMember. You may need to try some of these in a PowerShell console for yourself to find the best way to solve the problem. Tab completion can also help you find method and property names. Try typing string.tab into a console and cycling through the requested properties and methods. Which property of the above string has the expected value? Should be sixth. So for a string, I think that's, isn't it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be length, I assume. Yeah, string.length. And it can also find useful methods. String methods are handy. Methods can be accessed just like properties, but have parentheses and often parameters. So in this case, string ends with, and if we do handy, that should be true. If you have trouble figuring out which parameters a method requires, you can check the overload definitions by calling the method name without the parentheses. For the above method, these look like this. So string.endsWith, and then enter, you get the overload definitions. So you have a bool ends with value, a bool ends with value and a comparison type, and ends with value, ignore case, and culture info. So note that each overload is separate and mentions what object type it returns first, followed by the type and number of arguments it will accept. Only one overload can be used at a time, and usually the number of arguments and type of the arguments determine the overload that PowerShell will apply when calling the method. So we have a blank method name and blank method arguments. And we have an array of 7 through 10. So for each object, so we pipe in for each object, we want member name, method name, and argument list. So what's this? What's for each object with a member name parameter? Do we have any? Let's see if we have any description of what it is. No, it isn't. There's nothing. So what does this do? When you do for each object with a member name. It doesn't return anything. Argument list. The for each object command that can be used to call methods. So you call the method on. So these are literal strings. So you have string. So for a string. Let's do a getMember on string to see. So is this, you want to have a trim start, probably? And you want, no, there's not a trim start, because there's one less on the 10. Is there a padding or something? Pad right, pad left, I guess. And pad left with an integer for total width. No, it wants 2. Yeah, so you want this. It's this one we're after. So for each object with member name and argument list would call it would call one of the members of the. So this doesn't do anything. So with a member name of length, then it would display. Yeah, okay. So you use member name to call a method on the object that's passed through the pipeline. Nice. I've only used this for each object and then the member name implicitly defined. I've never done this, so this is kind of a nice trick, I think. So anyways, what we wanted was we wanted pad left, and the arguments was total width, so that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And padding character in this case seems to be 0. So 0. That's pretty nice. So contexts, members of objects return from commandlets, and it can help you discover information about unfamiliar objects. So commandlets also return objects. This commandlet creates an empty .tmp file in a random location and returns the object representing this file. So temp file is new temporary file, and then you test path temp file .fullname should be true. So this creates a file somewhere, I guess in a random location. So where would it create it? Just anywhere on the disk? Probably in the app data then every time, or it can't be completely random. Yeah, anyway. So in this case, so test path, and this should be true, of course. And here we have, here we create several. So we create 10 of them. So this will return an array with the data of the temp files. So which method can be used to remove these files? Remove object. Isn't it? Remove object, RM. It's remove item, sorry, remove item. So for each object we do remove item, and now we should have it false. And it actually returns the object itself. So member data equals string pipe to get member. Okay, so this data, what would that data be? We have a string, don't we? Yep. So if we do a get member, so what if we do a get member on this? So this is a Microsoft PowerShell commands member definition. Okay, cool. So even getMember returns an object. So let's move on to getCommand. getCommand is one of the most useful commandlets for discovery. It allows you to list all available commands, specify a module to look for available commands in, and filter based on command name, module name, etc. As the vast majority of PowerShell commands are packaged with help files, it is also an invaluable tool in finding possible help topics to look up in the first place. When looking for related commands, use of the verb and noun search options is often easier than figuring out how many wildcards you need in a name search. So, it lists available commands. Try calling getCommand in a PowerShell console to see the typical output. So if we do just a getCommand, it will, GCM is the alias, it will just list everything. So let's see how many we have on our system. So here we getCommand, pipe it to measure object, and then we select with expand count, and that's 6,934 commands on my system at the moment. That would increase if I installed a new module, for instance, or if I removed one. And here we take the name of the first command that PowerShell will find on my system. Here we go. So it still lists everyone. So that's add ADL analytics data source. And it indicates the type of command. So if we select but skip 3 and then select the first one after that, so command number 4, it's probably an ADL command as well, I guess. No, it's alias. Oh, it's a command type. Oh, okay, so if we don't, so we see that this is add ADL analytics firewall rule, and we get this is a command type alias. And that's yeah, I don't know. So that's an alias. And it can filter, hi Shane, it can filter the output by keywords. So you do a getCommand star -child, you get every command on the system that starts with something and has -child in it. And SIMCommand is getCommand name something. So command type should be commandlet. So command name on this one. For some reason, Control C always is messed up here. So the first one is getChildItem, probably the only one then. And SIMCommand name should be getSimClass. So I think if I only do this, we will probably get a lot more than just one. So we want to have SIMClass. So the first, yeah, so we need to see them. or just type it out completely. And it can look for commands by verb. So here we list all commands on the system which uses the verb get, and that should be quite a few. (1,956) commands using the verb get on my system. And number 4 would be, which one? Oh, the same. Get ADL analytics data source. Of course it would, because we were skipping the first 3 earlier. And it can look for commands by noun. So we want to list all the commands with that uses the noun date, and that would be oh, there are 2. Get and set, of course, and 0 is get date. And it can look for commands by module. So if we use the module parameter, we get all the commands in the module PSKoans. So in this case, not very many, but that's okay. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So why does it? So get command dot name. That would be quite a lot more than this array wants us to believe. Let's I guess we'll have to add every one of them. Get enlightenment. Or would it just add everyone in the last? I can't remember. Let's just add them all. So this was kind of hard talking at the same time, so I'm sorry if it gets a bit quiet. I don't know why it's hard talking at the same time as copy pasting, but that's just the way it is, I guess. Being old, and someone would say that being a man is the same as being not able to do 2 things at once. I don't know. I've always been a man, so I can't comment. I like to believe that, at least. And the last one is show advice. Yeah, that's true. And I quite regularly do as well. There we are. So that was about discovery. Let's measure karma and see if we got everything right. Can't even type at the same time as talking. So that was fun. I love this. This module is so awesome. It's kind of a little brain teaser all the time. It's nice. Let's see what the next one is. I think we can do one more before before I have to go. Oh, there was at least one wrong. Expected false, but got true. Where are we? Line 142. So not remove item. Should be false. No, it's a method name. Ah. I need to read every... So, we should still have a temp file here. So let's see if there's a method that will remove it. Delete, I guess. I was being way too fast there. So let's measure again. Now we should have removed them. This. Let's switch songs. While we were waiting, so which is the next one? You would think, I don't know how many Pesto tested runs, but it's got to be quite a few. And that's 172. 172.6. So why does Pester get more commands than I do? Oh, 6989 and 6886, and earlier it was 6934. Let's go with Pester's count because just because we can, or just because we probably should. So I wonder why command count is yeah, probably something like that. I didn't tab, I think, while I was typing. I don't know, might have. That's weird. So, but no. Well, there are some of those get commands that might have pulled more command or more modules, but then we will fail again, I think. No, new line one. So this is the So we are probably loading a new module. Let's just copy PSKoans number because it's probably the most correct one. Hopefully date commands doesn't change. And why have I type 1 here? It's clearly not 1. 2, 3, 4. It should be 11, shouldn't it? So I was speaking and typing at the same time, and that's just what you get. So we probably have to run it one more time, yeah. at least the total number of Koans went up quite considerably during this Koan. The big stock challenge only was, I think it was only 3 Koans. So now we are well over halfway there. Not well over, but at least we've crossed halfway there. Let's see. Still not. It's the so expected clear path, get wise, get enlightened. Oh, is it there twice? Oh, come on. Did I do this more times? No. Get set. Yep. Okay. So last time then, hopefully. Hopefully. So what to do while waiting for Measure Karma? I don't know. Have some coffee? So is anyone going to PSKoans EU, or is anyone listening from Europe at all? There we go. Still not. What's not? So what have I doubled up now? Clear path, get advice, get enlightenment, invoke PSKoans. Is missing. Did I? So I copied get enlightenment twice and missed invoke. Yeah, I did. Now, last time. No. There we go. So no one going to PSKonf.eu? No. No one listening. Well, it's only 3 weeks away now, and I am so much looking forward to it. It's probably the best conference I've ever been on, at least from a technical standpoint. Well, from a social one as well. Everyone is so nice, and it's such a tight-knit community. It's an awesome conference. Hi, Knuckles. No, we're doing a module called PSKoans, which is kind of it's a training module to learn how to. Well, it's kind of a PowerShell training module that will with small little tasks and tidbits to teach the user PowerShell. It's quite fun actually, so you're welcome to take a look. It is PowerShell, and it uses Pastor in the background to test. So there we were. Finally, we were good to go on the discovery. Next one is PSProviders. So these are cool. PSProviders. Providers are PowerShell's general purpose solution for accessing resources. The default set of providers that come with PowerShell on all platforms are listed below. These are the default ones. It's alias, environment, file system, function, and variable. So the ones most people probably have used is file system. Several are for accessing internal PowerShell resources like aliases, functions, and variables, but the rest typically interact with the surrounding environment like the file system or the OS environment. On Windows, PowerShell also comes with a registry provider for interacting with the Windows registry. All providers that have defined function with the getContent commandlet can also be accessed similarly to variable scopes. So for instance, environment path instead of getContent environment path. So with the $, yeah. So the first one is the alias provider. Aliases are PowerShell command shortcuts. By querying the alias provider, you can get a list of all command shortcuts in the current session. The available aliases may increase when a new module is imported. For context direct access, it can be queried with generic provider commandlets. So aliases equals get child item alias. Hey, nice, thanks for following, Knuckles. So aliases are get child item alias colon. So in this we will just list out every object in alias colon. So aliases would be all aliases on the system. So the first one would be percent. So how would this look? Let's see. I think it's just a string, isn't it? No, it's only a percentage. Okay, so it's the character. And definition is for each object. Okay, so the display name would then contract them. I see. Nice. And it maps aliases to the full command. So we have a blank alias, and the alias object is get item alias colon and then the alias, and our action is silently continue. So we want to find the set location alias. Is that S? No, that's CD. Isn't it? Yeah. So for instance, CD. So we can use CD. That's a fun little tidbit of PowerShell that so Jeffrey, I guess, and probably Bruce mapped all the generic CMD commands to aliases for the PowerShell command. So when you run CD in PowerShell, you actually run set location and not change directly, not the change directory program. And it can create aliases too. So aliases.count. So I have 190. Let's hope we don't load any new modules before we measure karma again. So we want to create a new alias and file. So what does this do? Grok. Yeah, so get item. We want to create a new alias called grok for get item. So when we do grok something, we create a new file, and it should be of type file info, and blank should be aliases.count. So we should get one more, yeah. Grok and then .temp.txt, and then we should have 191. Hopefully we don't load, as I said, more modules before we test. And the context access via commandlet. So we can access, it can be accessed with get alias. Yeah, so the alias provider can be accessed using the get alias command, or gal, which is the alias for get alias. So kind of an inception moment there. So alias objects are get child item alias colon, so that's everything. It's the same as we ran earlier. Alias objects 2 is get alias. So these should be the same. So we should get 190 now because we removed the alias here. So we should be back to 190. And alias objects should be alias objects too. So this would just result in the same object. And it allows for seeking out aliases for our command. So we have a blank commandlet name. Alias data is getAlias definition commandlet name, and alias data dot name should be GCM. So that's get command. And it can be used to find the exact command. So alias data equals alias name ft. So that's format table. And it can create aliases too. So we do the same as we did earlier. Set alias name grok, value get item. So file is grok home, get item $home, and file should be of type, so that's a directory. And that's system IO directory info. And the context variable access. It can be accessed like a variable. So we can type it out as $alias :GCI to get, sorry, I can't remember what GCI is. It's get child item, of course it is. And it is the same as using get content on the path. So if we do get content on, so if you call it as a variable, it's the same as doing a get content on the path alias :GCM. So alias target equals get content path alias echo, and gal echo. So that's write output. Of course it would be. I never used that. That's nice. You can use echo. So, yeah, moving on to the environment provider. The environment drive contains system environment data. Its contents can vary wildly from OS to OS, especially between Windows, Mac and Linux, for example. The only shared environment items across all OSs currently are path and PS module path. So environment data is get child item path and :, so we get everything from the environment provider. It allows access to system environment data. So selected item is environment data where the value is a string, and we get number 7 in that case. And the content is selected item.getContent. So this is, let's just run this. I have no idea which one this is, so it's just easier to just call the. So that's C program files, common files. So if we do a get content here, what will we get? We would just get the name. And selected item dot name. So that's this. Wouldn't that be the same thing? No, of course it isn't. It's this. And it can be accessed via variables as well. So we can do this. And then we get the entire thing. It was kind of big. Let's hope it doesn't change before we measure. And the file system provider, this is just the disk drives that we are used to. So here we have a path which is test drive and joined with a child path of file 001.tmp, so that would be test drive : /file 001.tmp. The joint path is extremely handy. Does Alt-C? I don't think it's necessary, but thanks. We know what's there. But yeah, it's easier for readability. Thanks. So, if not test path, a new item path into null. So we join 1 through 10,000. So for each object, we get a random between 32 and 96. And for each object of those, we create a char from the number between 32 and 96. So that's just alphanumericals, I think. A string. And if the random is this one, we do a new line. And then we set content on the file 001.tmp. So the test drive, is that always there? No? Will PSKoans create it? Or do we need to create it? Because this will fail on it. I don't know, let's see. So this would just create a random string of 10,000 letters. But I think it will fail unless PSKoans creates the test drive in the background. I don't know. No, let's wait and see. It allows access to various files and their properties, so you can do a get item path, in this case this path, which doesn't exist, so should be file name, so that should be this one. File.attributes. That I don't know. Let's just get a random file. Get item. I made one earlier, didn't I? No, it won't be. So we can do testing rounds. This one. They would have the same attributes, I think. So it would be not. I don't know what those attributes are, unfortunately. And file.length. So that's just the length. So that would be 10,000. And it allows you to extract the contents of files. So how would we solve this? Isn't this a random one? I don't know what he's thinking about here. Let's try measure karma and see what happens. I would expect some errors here. I don't know if so. PSKoans is probably suppressing the errors anyway, but yeah, because he outknows it. So is it the do I need to change this to something else? So it's expected 0. Where does it fail now? 50. Aliases that count. So it got 0. Yeah, because he calls it in this it, and that scopes it to that one. I think that's a bug. Let's test that. I think that's a bug. Because that would scope it to this one alone. So I'll make an issue on that, at least. This was a bit of a heavy one, I think. It was, it didn't have the same flow. I don't know if it's me or if it's the Koan. So yeah, so it got one. So now at least it knows about it, so it's scoped right. So but just let's so for some reason PSKoans gets a different amount of aliases than I do, and now it was less, and I don't know why, because I certainly haven't unloaded any modules. But that's weird. It's calling it in the same session as I am doing as well. That's weird. I don't know why. So we're getting up close to an hour. That was a bit longer than I thought, but let's finish this one anyway. So where did we fail now? 56. Why doesn't it suddenly fail here? Oh, it doesn't suddenly fail there. It just happened to finally. So new item, path. Grok get item, and we do so it's a get item, so we need to have a file that actually exists, not create one. And we need a file, so we can do foundations and about the race. Let's do it again. I still wonder why if I do get aliases or get child item alias colon, why I get 40 more than PSKoans does. I don't know why. I need to start singing, maybe, to entertain the masses while we wait for Measure Karma. I don't think that's a viable option. 57 now, what's the problem? So, expected 150, but got 151. So here we have 150. We create a new alias, but it still expects 150. That's weird. No, because this is probably a bug as well. It doesn't call a new get aliases, so it should probably do that. So that's a bit of a bug as well. So now we should get 151. Either that or Joel has put in some some trick questions. It might be a trick question, but I don't like trick questions. At least not in education. At least not in educating material. In a test, it's probably okay, but I don't think it's meant a trick question. There's something wrong with this entire colon, I think. So we wait again. Go. How long did we? So now we got to line 152. So we were past that. 152 is this one. So it's not 10,000. It's 10,224 for some reason. So why is it 10,224? I cannot answer that. I will accept it to move on. So, but in that case, so test drive. This is weird. So there's no drive. So in the background here, I think PSKoans creates this drive. I don't know why we end up with the length of 10,224, but we do. It might be maybe new lines count differently, but I didn't think they should. In that case, this will be more or less random every time, so it will never pass. Let's just move on and yeah, we'll go back to that. So first line is get content on the path. So and now the first line is random, isn't it? So get content path and then the first object. We don't even put it into a string or a variable, so we can't. But it will only get it until the first random new line. I can't see how we can be sure what this is. Let's just, before we give this up, let's measure once more and see if this is constant. If this is constant, I don't know. I don't understand why, but at least we know that it is constant. And then we can test the first line if that is constant, but I can't see how it could be constant because we do get random here, and we do that every time we go through measure karma. But I think this should be random as well, at least if new lines count differently, but yeah, I can't see how they would add in that case. No, because this is random every time. I think we'll just do this. Let's just cheat, and we cheat with this as well. Since we randomize, I can't understand how we could do it any other way. Yeah, let's move on. And it allows you to copy, rename, or delete files. So we have the file which is in the path that we create up here. We create a new path with a -002. We create a new file where we copy everything from the old path, from the original path to the new path, and new file.length should be file.length, and new file.name should be new file.name. Or is this how he... No, sorry, file.name should be new file.name. Is this how he has meant us to do it? Now we rename to testname.tmp. So testname.tmp should now be new file's name, but the length should still be file.length. And file path is new file.fullname, remove item on path file path, and then get item on some file path where it doesn't stop should throw an exception type. Let's I don't know which exception it actually will throw. It doesn't throw an exception. Here we go. So we got an exception type of parameter binding validation exception, right? So 0 dot exception type dot type dot no, error 0 dot you can't actually get the type. Okay, but it is a parameter binding validation exception. And then we have the function provider. So these are all the elements in function column, and it allows access to all currently loaded functions. Most proper functions are named verb noun. So we want the fifth one. So let's just pull out the fifth one. So that's after each. So that doesn't have a verb, does it? No, and it doesn't have a noun. So this will fail as well. I think this Koan is full of stuff. I think we stop it here. I'll just complete this offline and I'll make an issue on it. I think it doesn't feel like it's flowing right. So thanks for watching, I guess. See you. I'll try streaming in lunch tomorrow as well. So thanks for now. I'll see you later. Let's test the credits again. I think we had a new follower, so there might be something on them. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.